all of the good things that the late Mr. Jose Mata Torres has done for our island. And we wanted to present the resolution to his family commemorating his contribution to our island and especially the courage he has demonstrated during the occupation here on Guam. But before we do that, I think it's just real important to have one of his very special granddaughter who would like to say a few words about her grandfather. So I would like to call up Jacinta Elm. But as you come up, I also would like to acknowledge that we do have with us his daughter, Dr. Rita, and Rita Beneventi, who is married to Joe Beneventi, and other family members who are here. We also have with us this very special occasion. We have Senator Ed Terlahi. Thank you very much, sir, for attending this presentation. And we have Dr. Monique Story, who is the director of MARC, and also your staff are also here. And we have from KPRG, Jerry Leon Guerrero. So without further ado, we'd like to give you the opportunity to say a few words. Oh, I'm sorry. And I would like to acknowledge Dr. President Robert Underwood, University of Guam. Right.
You'll have that conversation later.
He said it's just a driver. So.
Good evening. I am Jacinta Elm, the favorite granddaughter of the famous Jose M. Torres. Who would have known that a simple Molesto resident would have made his way to New York City to attend St. John's Fisher College? Or even that an 88-year man can reorganize his thoughts to write a book about a very significant time in history. My Tata did this amongst other great things, overcoming what many envisioned as the impossible. I am honored and blessed to call him my Tata, and I am proud of all his accomplishments. I know for sure that he is conducting the orchestra in heaven, rejoicing because of this honor. What we do know is that we are here tonight celebrating the life and legacy of a great man. Undunklu nasizos maasi, kinini mastakilun ki kirasan mami para esti na dedikasyon para itatan mami. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator Underwood. But if I may, just introduce all the members who are here. Majority Leader Senator Rory Respicio, Senator Frank Blas, Senator Frank Ogden, Senator Jimmy Espaldon, Senator Mary Torres, Senator Tony Addis, Senator Brett McCready, and Senator Tommy Morrison, and Senator Nerissa Underwood for taking the time to do this very special resolution on behalf of the 33rd Guam Legislature and the people of Guam. Ladies and gentlemen, it's relative to recognizing and honoring the... Yes, if we can have the family members come up. I do apologize. All the family members, please come on up. We'll have the listening audience at home hear this very special presentation. It's relative to recognizing and honoring the late Mr. Jose Mata Torres for his heroism, courage, and leadership, for his lifetime of accomplishments and many years of dedication to the culture, the language, and the people of Guam, and to further extending sincere condolences to his family on behalf of I Liheslaturan Guåhan and her people of Guam. Be it resolved by Imina 33 na Liheslaturan Guåhan, whereas the late Jose Mata Torres, also known as Doc Torres, was born on November 25th, 1926 in the village of Meleso and was a lifelong resident of the village until he was called to his eternal life on Monday, September 28, 2015, at the age of 88 years old. And the late Doc Torres is the son of Jose D. Torres and Neves Manalisay Mata Torres, and the eldest brother of Vicente M. Torres, Enrique Torres, Asuncion T. Cruz, Josephine T. Breen, Maria T. Chartleff, Beatrice T. Lahan, and Jesus Torres. And the late Doc Torres is married to the late Carmen Lazama Torres, originally of Saipan and then later of Meleso. In 1961, they had two daughters. They have two daughters, Rita Benavente, married to Joe D. Benavente, and Carmelita Regis, married to Dominic Regis. Doc Torres' love extended to all his grandchildren, to include Jacinta B. and Jared M., Joe Davy Benavente Jr. and Daisy Consequeo, Joseph T. Benavente, Dean Napati, Sophia Napati, Victoria Regis, Candice Regis, Ashley Regis, and Madison Regis. As well, Doc Torres' knowledge and compassion reached all of his great-grandchildren, to include Messiah Matthew, Messiah Taylor Shea, Cameron Tierra, Kaela, Hosea, Ziana, Zane, Zion, and Zoe. And whereas the late Doc Torres was 15 years old when the Japanese invaded and occupied Guam in July of 1944, after the roundup and massacre of other Meleso women and men at Tinta and Faja, he joined with other men from the village of Meleso, and under the leadership of Jose Tonko Regis, banded together to kill and escape from Japanese troops who were holding Doc Torres, the other men, and their families captive to the concentration camp in Atati. And whereas following the uprising of Atati, Doc Torres joined 5 others, Jesus Barcinas, Antonio Leon Guerrero Cruz, Joaquin Chartleff Manalisay, Juan Meno Garrido, and Juan Atoygui Cruz, who paddled a canoe to send word to the USS Wadsworth off Meleso about the Japanese atrocities. Later, a second canoe of 5 more men from Meleso, Jesus Cruz Anderson, Thomas Tahaji, Felipe Santiago Cruz, Jesus Cruz Castro, and Joaquin Cruz Barcinas, the youngest brother of Jesus Barcinas, paddled out to seek for help from several naval ships off of Meleso. And Doc Torres attended schools in Meleso and Hagåtña, and after the war eventually attended and graduated from St. John Fisher College in Pittsford, and a suburb of Rochester, New York. And whereas after the war, Doc Torres was among several Chamorros, including Jose Salas, who later became an orthopedic surgeon who attended the U.S. Naval Medical Practitioner training at the Government Medical School in Tamuning. It was after the Government Medical School that was continued that Doc Torres attended St. John Fisher College in Pittsford in Rochester, New York, and Doc Torres worked for 25 years until he retired in 1986 as a U.S. Civil Service employee of the U.S. National Institute of Health, and specifically the National Institute of Neurology and Communicative Disorders and Stroke, the NINCDS research team. Here, Doc Torres collaborated with top U.S. neurologists who were studying Guam's high incidences of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis and Parkinson's dementia complex, also known as Little-Bodek or ALS-PDC. And whereas from his medical training and college education, Doc Torres was able to practice as a medic and conduct research for a number of years in Guam, Saipan, and throughout Micronesia. It was in Saipan that Doc Torres met his beloved wife, the late Carmen, and because of his work, he also became endearingly known as Doc Torres. And in 1995, Doc Torres began hosting a weekly radio show, Classical Concert, on Guam's public radio station, KPRG. On his show, Dr. Torres would share his love of classical music with the island, frequently expressing his joy for it in the Chamorro language. Dr. Torres retired his show in 2015 after 20 years on the air and named a living legend by the crew at KPRG. And whereas in 2010, Doc Torres was interviewed as a featured guest in an internationally syndicated show exploring music and the Bill McLaughlin, he discussed the beauty of Guam, his experiences during the Japanese occupation, and his love of classical music. And in 2012, Dr. Torres was chosen as a guest conductor for the Guam Symphony Society during the show The Music and Legends of Guam and at the Aurora Hotel in Tumon. Dr. Torres fulfilled a lifelong dream of his when he conducted the Guam Symphony Orchestra in their performance of Tchaikovsky March Slav. And Dr. Torres, for all his years, was an advocate for healthy living and made many friends through farming, fishing, walking a forgotten path from Malesu shore to Cocos Island, coastal walking from Inalahan to Telefofo, hiking Gills River in Malesu, daily biking to other villages, gym exercises, and much, much more. And whereas Dr. Torres was deeply concerned about the threatened loss of the Chamorro language and advocated above all else unprecedented action to retrench the Chamorro language through its use in government functions, at classical musical events, in theater, at political gatherings, and at home with family. And while Dr. Torres was extremely humble, he felt it is his duty to share his lifetime of experiences with the youth of Guam and with the world, always paying tribute to the suffering endured by Chamorros, his love for his family, and the leadership of Tonko Regis, and the courage of his fellow villagers. He was on many occasions interviewed in Guam magazines and newspapers, especially on the anniversary of the end of World War II. In 2015, Dr. Torres, at the age of 88, commanded computers and emerging technology to publish the memoir of his war experiences entitled Massacre of Patate. In his memoir, Dr. Torres documented not only his own World War II story, but also the heroism of his fellow villagers who, despite years of forced labor, starvation, lack of medical care, and tremendous fear, fought the Japanese and liberated themselves and their families, ensuring that the future generations will be able to read and appreciate their story. And whereas, through his memoir, Dr. Torres described the village of Maleso with loving detail as a road of its own, where every aspect of the village thrived and where the farmers, fishermen, and educators of Maleso created a kind of synchronism and self-sufficiency that was unique to the southern Chamorro village and which he was very proud. And whereas Dr. Torres truly believed in the power of the Chamorro language, always insisting on its use, and ultimately succeeded in being a key practitioner of Chamorro in his time, especially to aid the progress and development of medicine and for the Chamorro people. And whereas with the death of Jose Mata Torres, the people of Guam bid adios estaki umalihetatlu to the last of the heroic Maleso rebels, to a beloved and humble leader, to a shining example of Chamorro courage and strength in the face of severe adversity, Chamorro ingenuity and resourcefulness in an ever-changing world, and the unabashed love and joy of Chamorros for family and village. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I Liheslaturan Guåhan does hereby, on behalf of I Liheslaturan Guåhan and her people of Guam, recognize and honor the late Mr. Jose Mata Torres for his heroism, courage, and leadership, and for his lifetime of accomplishments and many years of dedication to the culture, the language, and the people of Guam, and does further extend sincere condolences to his family on behalf of I Liheslaturan Guåhan and her people of Guam, and be it further resolved that the Speaker and the Legislative Secretary attest to the adoption whereof, and that copies of the same be thereafter transmitted to Ms. Rita Beneventi, to Ms. Carmelita Regis, to the Honorable Ernest T. Chargleff, Mayor of Molesto, and to the Honorable Edward J.B. Cavo, Imagalahin Guåhan. Ladies and gentlemen, this was duly and regularly adopted by Imina 33 na Liheslaturan Guåhan on the 20th day of October 2015, signed by our Speaker Judith Wampat, and myself, Senator Tina Rose Muñoz Barnes, as Legislative Secretary. Senator Underwood.
So, it is an honor to present this to you, if you both come here, on behalf of the people of Guam. We express our sincere condolences.